What is Barista Fire? If your answer is that's when your Starbucks barista overheats the espresso machine and catches the place on fire, you would be incorrect. Today, we're going to be talking about Barista Fire, or Barista F.I.R.E. as some people refer to it. It actually has something to do with personal finance, and it's kind of like a lifestyle choice or a different way of living that a lot of people kind of decide to set off on. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Oddly enough, this video I'm making right now, this YouTube video you're watching, this is the only video on YouTube on this subject matter, and I was really kind of surprised by that. I didn't create this idea, I didn't create this concept, I didn't create this term. This has been out there in kind of the personal finance community for quite some time now. If you Google it, you can find a number of different articles on it. Maybe I'll link to a couple good articles below that talk more about Barista Fire. But that's what we're going to be talking about today. As far as why this is relevant, you know, when I first started this YouTube channel, it was kind of I had kind of started learning about entrepreneurship and making money online and digital marketing and affiliate marketing, e-commerce, and it, you know, eventually allowed me to quit my day job and go off and work on my own. And, you know, just kind of trying to share tips that I've picked up along the way, kind of help cut at some other people's learning curves out. And not only that, but bring concepts to you that you maybe don't know about. I tend to be a very kind of curious person, so I'm always looking into stuff. I tend to go an inch deep and a mile wide with things, so I know a lot about a lot of things. I'm not really an expert with any one thing. But in that, I stumble across a lot of different ideas and things like that. And one thing I tend to notice is, you know, someday somebody might come to me and be like, oh, I have this great idea. What if, like, instead of me ordering inventory, I find somebody else who can ship my orders out, and they think they've discovered this new thing, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's called drop shipping. Like, it's a thing. Go research it. And people, you know, people have come up with the idea of drop shipping on their own, but they didn't even know it existed. And kind of my point is, one of the things I want to do with this channel is bring different ideas and different things to people. I personally am not somebody who really is traditional, in the sense that I don't really want to do the traditional 9 to 5. I don't really want to have the traditional life of everybody else. And there's nothing wrong with having that, but if you're looking for a different way, one of the things I want to do with this channel is kind of bring different ideas of living, different ideas of earning money to you guys. And I think Barista Fire, or Barista Fire, is one of these ideas. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's kind of a different way of living. I would say it's for people who prioritize freedom and happiness and hobbies and family and just kind of living a life on their terms, as opposed to, you know, necessarily like material things or living a flashy lifestyle or whatever else. Although that's not to say that you can't baristify and also live that kind of lifestyle. So I think in order to fully explain the idea of Barista Fire, we have to first talk about fire and lean fire. So I think I've made a couple YouTube videos about this, maybe just a couple short ones kind of introducing the concept. I'm going to do a search. If I can find them, I will link to them in the description box below. You know, I tend to make a lot of videos that I never actually wind up releasing or putting out, so I sometimes kind of forget. I'm like, oh yeah, I made a video on that, and I can't find it on the channel. But just to kind of give a brief introduction of FIRE. FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retiring Early. There's also a concept called lean fire, which is people who like really kind of, you know, live kind of that Spartan lifestyle to make it happen even earlier. But basically, FIRE is for people who don't want to work until they're 65 and 70 years old and then retire. It's people who are willing to kind of make some sacrifices earlier in life to put more money into investing. It's kind of all about, I would say, kind of the key concepts of FIRE are trying to increase your income as much as possible, being smart with your investments, having some type of side hustle or extra thing to bring in some money, and also kind of sacrificing a bit in your life. You don't necessarily need the big house. You don't necessarily need the fancy car. Maybe you take a local vacation instead of going out of the country, and you're making these sacrifices all so that you can increase your savings rate, put more money into investments, and eventually, you know, hopefully be able to retire at an earlier age. I mean, for some people, that's late 20s. For other people, that may be 30, 35. For some people, that may be 50. But basically retiring earlier than the average person, because you're willing to live today, unlike how most people are willing to live. You know, most people allow lifestyle inflation to kind of creep up on them, and people who are into the FIRE movement, even if their pay increases, even if they get a better job, they try to continue living the same lifestyle so that they can continue to increase their savings rate. Now, lean FIRE is kind of extreme FIRE. It's people who you know, maybe are willing to live with roommates in order to cut down their housing costs. It's people who move to, you know, more walkable cities or urban areas where they can get rid of a car and ride a bike. People who are really smart with kind of their grocery shopping and their food budget and are really willing to live a very minimalist or Spartan lifestyle in order to make this FIRE thing happen. So that brings us to Barista Fire. Now, you know, I'm going to give some examples here. It doesn't have to play out exactly like this, but in this scenario, what Barista Fire might be is, let's say somebody is interested in kind of the FIRE movement. They got some good money put away for retirement in a 401k or a SEP IRA or whatever else, and their passive income has grown. I think really kind of the definition of financial independence is when your passive income exceeds your monthly passive income or yearly passive income exceeds the amount of money that you need to live in a month or a year. So, you know, if I have $500,000 in investments and that $500,000 can yield a $50,000 return and my living costs are $50,000 a month or less, well, technically I'm financially independent because I could live without doing anything. So with this whole Barista Fire, the idea, at least or kind of what I view this as, or kind of how the average person who's doing something like this would do it, you do have some retirement money put away. You're probably not going to want a Barista Fire if you don't have any money in the bank. So you got some money in a 401k, a SEP IRA, a Schwab account, Vanguard account, whatever else. So you got some money put away. You have some passive income that probably comes close to being able to meet all your needs, maybe not meet all of them. And one other thing I'd like to add about kind of the FIRE community, and one thing that I kind of see lacking in it, is when you talk about the whole financial independence, retiring early, FIRE thing, most people on forums, subreddits, you know, Mr. Money Mustache's forum, if you guys have heard of Mr. Money Mustache, he's kind of all about kind of the FIRE movement. He retired early, cut his expenses, etc. A lot of people kind of criticize him because he's got about $500,000 a year, maybe even multiple millions a year coming in off financial affiliate programs and things like that. But nonetheless, he really does kind of walk the walk. He doesn't just, you know, talk. He actually lives that lifestyle. But that would be one example of somebody kind of doing the FIRE thing. But in the FIRE community, the financial independence community, I see a lot of people focusing on living off investment income, and I see almost nobody talking about side hustles, affiliate marketing, e-commerce, having some small type of service business. And what I think is kind of silly about that is I think most of us, especially those of us at a younger age, if you could afford to retire at 30 years old, you know, there's only so much golf you can play. There's only so much fishing you can do. I think most people would go crazy if they stopped doing anything and just did leisure activities for the rest of their life at a young age. You know, it's one thing if you retire at 70 and you got another 10, 15 years to chill out. But, you know, at 30, you potentially have, what, 70 more years of life? I mean, with technology, who knows, maybe even more. So I think most people would go crazy doing nothing. So, you know, I personally think it would be kind of cool that if you do reach financial independence, rather than doing nothing, if you're really into woodworking, set up a little woodworking shop in your garage and kind of start selling some of those things on Etsy. If you're into, you know, kayaking or something, and you live near the water, you know, buy some kayaks and go down to the beach and rent them out to people. Like, I think just to kind of keep your sanity and have something to do and kind of have some purpose in life, I think most people would want to continue doing something. So I think the FIRE community as a whole kind of leaves out a lot of passive income and online businesses and kind of passion projects and things like that. But getting back to the FIRE thing, so again, I realize I'm all over the place. We got a couple, you know, we got some decent money in the bank. Your affiliate marketing, your blog, your digital products, some little service business you have, whatever it may be, that's bringing in right around enough money to live on per year. Let's say it costs you, you know, covering your nut, which is basically just your you know, basic expenses, your mortgage if you have one, car insurance, food, etc. Your passive income comes pretty close to kind of covering your nut, maybe a little bit less, maybe if there's a shortfall of 5 or 10 grand. But a lot of people wind up getting burnt out of their corporate jobs or their career or whatever else. They have no life balance, no work-life balance. They're really unhappy with what they're doing. So somebody who's looking to Barista Fire may say, "Look, I'm working 65 hours a week. I hate this. I have no time to spend with my family. I have no hobbies. What kind of life is this? I don't want to do this for another 20 years. And what they may decide to do is, look, I'm going to quit the corporate gig. I'm kind of going to be living pretty minimalist or really kind of scraping by if I don't do anything, nor do I really want to not do anything. So I'm going to go get a job as a barista at Starbucks. And even if I'm only making 10, 15, 20 grand a year, it's a couple hours a week. It gets me out of the house interacting with and meeting with some other people. Maybe it gives me health insurance. And you're basically kind of getting, I hate to say call it a bullshit job, because there's no such thing as a bullshit job. All jobs are valuable. If you're getting out there and earning an honest living, more power to you. But you guys get the point. And I think for a lot of people, the idea of Barista Fire, and let's clarify, you don't have to be a barista. I have zero desire to be a barista. But my father retired maybe within the last year. He got a job at a golf course. He only makes $8 an hour, but that's $8 an hour better than nothing. And he also gets free golf for working there. So one of his hobbies that would otherwise cost him money, golfing, is covered for free. And, you know, if he works a 10-hour day, it's $80. It's not huge money, but it's $80 that he wouldn't have had otherwise. And he actually enjoys the job. He's kind of a starter, or the guy who drives, or, you know, a ranger who drives around and makes sure his people are kind of keeping pace and things like that. And he enjoys it. I saw another guy who did the Barista Fire thing, saying he had a job actually at a golf course also when he was younger. And he said, you know, I love the job. I truly enjoy doing it. But at some point, you know, my expenses grew. I wanted to have a family, and I had to move on and do something else. But I'm sure every one of you guys at some point has probably had some job that you enjoyed. I remember at one point I had a job working in a t-shirt shop, and I would do custom t-shirts and lettering on shirts and stuff. It wasn't my shop. It was just when I worked in. The pay wasn't great, but like I truly enjoyed the job. I had a TV in the back. I'd watch Judge Mathis during the day. People would come in for shirts. I'd chat with them. I'd do the shirts, and it was something that I really didn't mind doing. Same thing, I've done some landscaping jobs where it was good exercise. I was out on my own. I was listening to music. You know, the pay wasn't fantastic, but I actually enjoyed doing the job. So, again, the whole idea of Barista Fire, you have some savings in the bank. You have your retirement, at least something going for your retirement. You have some passive income making at least a good portion of kind of what your nut is, or what your, you know, basic monthly expenses are, and you just need a little bit of money to make sure that you're either not digging into your savings, or that you're able to continue contributing to retirement a little bit. So that's kind of the concept. Now, you know, I think everybody has to kind of make a decision. If you're somebody who wants to live in a McMansion, and you're going to want to have a fancy car, and you're into clothes, or you like having toys, be it RVs and boats or whatever else, well, you know, maybe Barista Fire isn't for you. But if you're somebody who doesn't really mind kind of a simpler lifestyle, if you're somebody who doesn't really get into clothes and cars and doesn't necessarily have a bunch of expensive hobbies, and you kind of value your freedom, your autonomy, being able to have time to work on passion projects and hobbies and things like that, well, then Barista Fire may work for you, right? You're able to continue living your lifestyle. You're able to continue putting a little bit of money away for retirement. And if you're only working 15, 20 hours a week, maybe that gets your health insurance covered. It winds up paying you a little bit of extra money each month, and it allows you to kind of live more of a life on your own terms. And if you're somebody who's entrepreneurial, one kind of cool thing about that is, you know, if you're working a full-time job, it can be hard to have a business on the side. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. But if you're somebody who's, you know, if you're somebody who's entrepreneurial, and you kind of got yourself in a position where you can do this Barista Fire, and you're working 15 hours a week, that leaves plenty of time to take on passion projects, whether that be starting an Etsy store and doing some type of crafts, or starting a service business, or whatever else. So just wanted to kind of introduce this this concept to you guys. Again, it's called Barista Fire, or Barista F.I.R.E. If you're interested in this concept, again, I'll try to link to a couple of videos down below, you know, to where you can kind of get a better idea of what this is all about. And I'll also kind of link to some articles about FIRE, because FIRE is kind of the overarching idea here. Lean FIRE is like being very extreme about your FIRE goals, and Barista Fire is basically people who want to do the FIRE, the financial independence, retiring early thing, but maybe aren't quite in a position to be able to just totally carefree, never do anything again. I think it's a really interesting concept, and something that kind of intrigues me. So yeah, just wanted to throw it out there. Let me know if any of you guys have done FIRE. Let me know if If any of you guys have already baristafied, if any of you guys are kind of interested in the whole fire thing and are trying to set yourselves up for that situation right now, let me know your guys' thoughts about this. And again, I'll link to some Reddits and some interesting articles and stuff about this as well for any of you guys who do find that interesting. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. Drop a comment in the comment section below. If you're not subscribed, help me out. Hit that subscribe button to either the bottom left or bottom right of the video, and I will catch you guys on the next one.